This week on Motorway, a training exercise takes a real-life twist. Cone alone, novices Wayne and Morris are put through their paces. And the rabbits in a stew over Alan's furry friends.
Coning. We're going to practice down the NEC, lots of coning. We've had people weave in around the cones and around the police vehicles. To get
Motorway police trainees Wayne and Morris are still in the classroom.
The one with the RIC man up there, the crosses were set 2 gantries back.
And they're still coming down.
They're still coming, and I was at the end of the typher there on the shelf, still waving them out, and they were coming up to the cones then.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
But before long, the novices will be getting an unexpected practical in how to cone off the traffic.
An RTA, one on each roof. Yes, there is a paramedic in attendance and paramedicing on him in the car at the moment. Over.
The accident has caused a huge tailback, and it's just round the corner from Motorway Police HQ. The coning trainees have a real-life crisis to deal with. They're rushed to the scene to see how they'll cope.
It's actually north of the junctions behind us.
At the nerve centre of Motorway Police Operations, officers have a bird's-eye view of the accident and the trainees. It's all on camera.
There's men running about carrying this bonnet out the carriageway.
It's not a bonnet, look.
What's that? It's the back of somebody's pickup.
It's a pickup truck, yeah.
Okay, standing by.
Ambulance
motorway.
The perfect scenario here, look. Yeah.
Keith is actually going to be the radio car at the moment. He's using my call sign to direct things. Right. The only thing that we've got to be careful of is obviously we could do some cones now behind the police car just to direct and show that it's shut. Right. You want to go and do that? Align the cones about 50 yards back. Right?
It's alright, yeah, it's fine.
The driver's in the back of the ambulance, he's receiving treatment. What we're going to do now is just drop a line of cones behind the police car there to show that the hard shoulder is shut. So that makes that secure. Something has flipped up into the air. It may well have been some sort of debris or other. Yeah. This guy has tried to avoid it. In trying to avoid it, he's lost it and he's obviously flipped it over.
Serious, or can we move it?
We can move it, I believe. He's not seriously hurt at all. I would just check with that though, Andy, first of all, with the paramedic.
I was immediately behind the vehicle when it hit the barrier, about 70 miles an hour. He went into a 2 or 3 turn roll, ended up on his roof, still trapped by his seatbelt inside.
Well, I was behind a pickup truck, and the whole back of the pickup truck, the removable back, flew up in the air, and it was coming straight at me. So all I could do was swerve to avoid it, because it was coming straight from my windscreen, and in the swerve I lost control of the car, and I believe I rolled over a couple of times after hitting the barrier.
At the moment he's shaking a little bit, but other than that it's just minor grazing, and he should be fine. He's a very lucky man. He hit the barrier at 70 miles an hour and come to a standstill the way he did.
I mean, I've heard people say it feels like slow motion when you have a high impact crash, but it really did feel like slow motion. Just going through it, and it seemed like to last an awful long time before I actually stopped.
Someone's got to do the dirty work.
The dirty work's usually the domain of the dead dog squad, and today Alan has 2 extra little helpers to solve a furry problem.
Before I was married, I was in the local pub, and it had just been on Esther Hanson's show, a ferret down the trousers. So I put him in my trousers, and the beer was lined up, and I kept drinking it. And I was living with my mother at the time. I woke up about 9 o'clock at night with a ferret still in my trousers. I've never been the same since. Well, I've done it for about 30 years now, lot. But I've been doing it on the motorway banks for 2 or 3 years now. Well, I think it's bred in you. We used to have to, when we were kids, we used to have to catch them to eat, like. You wouldn't remember them days. Well, with all the rabbits digging in and that, the bank will slip and it'll end up on the motorway. They've put fencing round to try and stop them getting onto the trees, but they just dig under it. I have rabbits in stir fries, curries, madras, vindaloo, some taste to them, anything, I love them. But the missus won't touch them. I have to cook them myself. She don't like the smell. This looks something though. See, that's where they get. You can see yourself there, where they're starting to slip down a bit, say. I mean, they dig all around these signs and that, someone's got to give, ain't it?
The rabbits' days are numbered, and the motorway police trainees are also feeling the pressure. They need to clear away the car and reopen the carriageway, which is totally blocked.
Don't put it from that end. Don't put it from that end. Put it from the far end, so you put it straight. You're going to put it straight forward? No, straight, so sideways across the carriageway, and then roll it that way.
A new rope that we're trying that is not very successful, so it might be back to the old-fashioned method of turning it by hand.
The trainees are lucky to have strength in numbers. When teams eventually go out in twos, they'll just have to manage.
We're on.
Finally, the car is removed and a joint clean-up can begin. But rabbit catcher Alan is working in splendid isolation.
There's rats, and there's a few muntjac deer around this area, little muntjacs. They know they're safe, nothing bothers them, you see, round here.
Whoever put the cones out? Who put the cones out? Who put the cones out? Not the cones I put out, but the other cones. Who put them out? When you're coning out, all right, your first cone, okay, on the marginal strip.
Yes.
Okay, back. Okay, 6 paces.
The accident was a total fluke, but it didn't feel like it.
And the way you organised that, I thought was brilliant. I was just saying the organisation skills, it takes a lot to put a course like this together and be right on team.
It's the locator. And that picks him up, you see.
Alan's hoping not to rely on luck, but skill. Of course, Geordie the ferret has to be in the mood.
He loves me, he does. Come here, cock. Like I say, he was a babby when I had him, and I used to let him out, and he'd come down and have some ice cream and everything, he would. Yeah. So say, how can you say that's nasty? As it has me here. It's usually the scent of these that makes the rabbit bolt. Like I say, a lot of the time these banks never see ferrets anyway. We might be here till tomorrow. Just fingers crossed. Sometimes it can be 2 minutes, sometimes it can be 2 hours.
Alan will just have to wait. In part 2, Cone Alone, novices Wayne and Morris are put through their paces. The unmarked cars onto a BMW. Mick and Roger can't decipher the number plate. It's difficult to read, so it's time to check it with their records.
Several of our vehicles are fitted with a mobile PNC data terminal, which allows us to carry out checks on both vehicles and drivers. And whilst we're talking to drivers, we'll know more or less straight away whether or not there's any warning markers in respect to that driver or they're wanted for any offences.
That is definitely Delta Oscar.
Oh, let's try again.
I've moved into a position on the near side so I can actually get closer to have a very, very clear shot of the registration plate without actually climbing up the exhaust pipe of that vehicle. I'll drop it back now and move behind him and see how his performance continues.
I just wondered why it's coming up as no trace each time on that.
I suggest it's a brand new vehicle and the computer record hasn't been centralised.
Okay, 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, 2 and 3 I should say. He's in lane 2 at the moment, right?
Yes, I got him. From the bridge.
Although it was the number plate that first alerted them, now they do a speed check.
He's coming off, isn't he?
Throw a few words and confirm that registration number.
Oh, I think it's just on the speed on the way down there. That'll be for the first check, but it's yeah, time for
The owner's about to meet Roger and Mick and sit in on a short, sharp seminar in motorway policing. They don't know it yet, but this driver knows the law very well.
Hi there. We've carried out a check on your speed as you travel down the M40, and as you can see on the monitor there, it's 95.08.
Yes, I see that.
For 0.369 of a mile.
Yeah.
That speed, being in excess of the speed limit, means you've committed an offence.
Yes, I understand that.
And that is the sort of cut-off point for the fixed penalty system.
I understand that.
Any faster than that and you would be looking at having to go before a court for the offence of exceeding the speed limit.
Yes.
That was the last check we carried out. That's an average speed, and prior to that we weren't able to carry out a check, but we were going considerably faster than that.
Right.
So this is the lower of the speed ends, if you like, that we were doing, but it's a check that we're satisfied with.
We have all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rear view.
Right. Oh, I see what you mean, yes.
There's your car.
Yeah.
And there's the rear view at the camera at the back.
Right.
We're bristling with cameras. The type of things that we look at, you can't exactly go up to somebody and say, you've just driven badly, would you like to do it again for the purpose of the camera?
Right.
We're not into making films, and that's the thing, that's the difference. We have to record what happens when it happens, one shot, one opportunity. If we miss it, we fail. If we haven't got it, that's it.
I know it's like I'm a barrister, so I know how difficult it is to prove things.
Oh yes. A picture says 1,000 words.
Yes. It's quite. So you can actually get a copy of it, can you?
Well, if you were to pursue the matter through the courts.
That's part of disclosure. Right.
That's it. We would provide you with a copy if you wanted to, so we've merely pointed out at this time that we do keep.
So
a
my
copy.
own personal social entertainment, it wouldn't be much use.
No, not really. No,
Right,
not.
okay.
You know.
All right.
If you want,
it might be more advantage to your wife to actually hit you with.
the other way of looking at it, if you want to have a little
My word,
party and
okay.
say this is what happens if you drive like I do, but
okay.
but what happens is there is a cut-off point, and 95.08 is right on that boundary,
Right.
and so you know that as far as we're concerned, 0.08 of a mile an hour over it is.
Right.
It's
the circumstances of your driving was just fast.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad in any other respect. So we don't feel it's a matter which the magistrate should hear, because they will obviously look at it in a different light as to a fixed penalty system.
I understand. Can I just ask you what a Kojak light is?
Kojak. It's
If I put them on,
Yeah.
you'll look down there.
Right.
and those are the ones that sit on the roof.
Magnetic ones.
If you
that we put
go
out
back to the
on roof.
TV programme, Kojak always stuck his on the roof, and it's stuck.
It's one of those little descriptions, little things that's stuck.
So now you know.
Yeah, it's at lollipops.
No, it's a lot of
Well, not normally.
No.
Okay. Well, thanks very much.
Okay, but so if there's any
It's not been my week.
if you're quite happy with what we've explained to you, we'll let you get back on your journey and
No, you've been very good. Thank you.
bring the cruise control down.
Cheerio.
Okay, so.
Cheers then.
Bye.
And that's 1-0 to the good guys. Because most barristers don't know much about road traffic law, do they, Rog?
They don't know. But they know enough to know that they don't really want it to go to court.
It looks as if it's 1-0 to the Rabbits so far.
Alan's bunnies are still hiding, but Geordie the ferret, tagged electronically, is onto something.
It's there. No, it's found it.
The rabbit is the motorway's sworn enemy, and Alan's dinner.
It's falling down the holes, you've got to watch. I bet that many rabbits now scratch holes in the carpet and drop little pellets. You sit there going like this.
The trainees are now off the motorway and on trial. Think of it as police squad meets It's a Knockout.
I've got enough of that.
What happened to the 10 cones?
Stick about 7 in, 6 or 7.
Well, they just said use 10 cones.
You can't do it. You've only got 16 in the car. If you're counting two, you can't do it.
That's what I do.
So now I've got 4 or 6 cones on there. Yeah.
Right there.
How big's the Arctic?
The Arctic comes down and does that.
Or are you saying hold?
No, hold it level. So you've got it pointing forward.
No, you don't even do that. The cones are always nearest the curb. That's all you've got to remember. So if you're doing this lane, the cones are on this arm. And then you take them off, put them down, you cone yourself into the coned area. And you're pointing towards the traffic that's coming towards you, please move over, or words to that effect. You know, you've got to remember the fact that it's no point in breaking your neck because you're no good to anybody else. This is all about self-preservation and assisting the people that you've come to help. You've got to be in a position where you can help them. You know, there is no point in injuring yourself trying to protect the scene. So let's do it sensibly, let's get everything in perspective, then we'll get it right, and it'll work, okay? Anything else, Andy? No? Off you go then. I'll come and have a walk up when you're in position. Right, here they come. Noisy devils.
Yeah, trying too hard.
Right.
I'll go and check the scene, you grab the cones and start taking the cones down. I'll meet you in the middle with the cones later, yeah?
So they've actually positioned the car roughly round about in the right place. Everything that they need to be on is on, except for the fact they're parked in the carriageway and they've got no blue lights on up to yet. Whenever a vehicle's parked in the carriageway stationary, blue lights will be displayed. Andrew?
There's no fend off for the car.
Yeah.
And worse still, he parked the car right at the edge of lane 1 and opened the door into what would have been the live running lane, and he's opened the door, got out of the car, so now he's 1.5 metres away from the edge. Bit quicker, Morris.
People can see it then. It's a variation on a theme anyway.
How are we doing? Happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's all right.
Right. Grand job, mate, grand job.
Can I just do a bit of self-analysis there?
Go on then.
When I first got out of the vehicle, I did have a cursory glance over my shoulder, but I didn't actually face the traffic as I exited the vehicle on the first time. I corrected it on the second time.
Before you say any more, okay. Look where you stopped the where have you stopped the police car?
Yeah, should have been perhaps over to the...
Where have you stopped it? Where's the offside door? Where's the driver's door?
Well, probably within 18 inches of the...
Not probably.
It is?
Yes.
Why?
Can't answer you, don't know.
What are you going to do about it next time?
Oh, it's obviously going to come over to the left.
It's going to come a lot over to the left.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
As much as I can, yes.
When you stepped out the car, you stopped it right along the running lane.
Yes.
You've opened the door, so nearly the full width of the Range Rover doors in the running lane.
Yes.
You then got out of the car, yeah? And then you walk round the front of the door, okay, so now you're the door's width and your own back's width into the running lane. And you've pushed the door closed as you've gone around the front of the Range Rover. Yeah. Okay, so you're now stood a metre and a bit into a live running lane.
Yes. See, we're all about self-preservation, and what you've just done there, you've put yourself into a position where you are a prime target. You may well present the driver of the Arctic that's just going past with something that he cannot avoid.
As soon as I put myself there, obviously I'd gone past the point of no return, hadn't I?
Well, thankfully it's just a play situation at the moment.
If you think about it, most of the truck drivers, they've had a go at avoiding you if they could.
Yes.
But you're almost likely to cause another accident.
Yeah. He may well have avoided you, but put somebody else through the central reservation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Next week on Motorway, spaghetti turns messy as lorries take a tumble. It's double trouble for Morris.
Okay.
Come on then.
And Dr. Doolittle, Alan at leisure.
That's next Tuesday at 10:30. Tomorrow night at 10:25, Noddy Holder is our guide to everything 70s in the End of the Century show.